Hey guys, good to hear from you. Good to be here with you on this Tuesday evening, Taco Tuesday, that is. Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. Talking weather a little after 8 o'clock, and that's fine. Thanks for allowing me to be a part of your night here as we're going to be talking about the recent severe weather outbreak. Also be talking about the possibility of severe weather tomorrow. There is a chance of that. Not as big of a chance, but is a chance, possibility of it. And also what happened on this day 100 years ago. It's been talked about. So anyway, guys, thanks very much for tuning in. Hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday here. For those of you that are new to my channel, whether it be Facebook or YouTube, I'm Derek Dunn. I'm not a licensed meteorologist. I like to track storms as a hobby. And first and foremost, here, guys, this is not scripted. I'm just doing this like my late good friend Mike Dreeth one time said about morning coffee when he launched it. He said, "We're on a rudderless ship, and we don't know where the ship is taking us." And so I don't know where the ship is going, but we're going to have some fun anyway on this Tuesday night. Live chat's open, by the way. Say hi if you want to. Love to hear from you on the live chat. Maybe if you have a question about the recent severe weather event or even the weather coming up, let me know. Breezy today, by the way. Breezy conditions out there. I was announcing Fairfield Mules baseball in Mark's place. Mark Turner, my good friend, he had to be out on assignment covering Mules baseball. Mules got the win over Grayville earlier. So good job by the Mules there. Enjoyed watching them play at Veterans Field. So let's talk about the recent severe weather outbreak. Before we get to that, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for those of you that may have seen it already. If not, following the storms late Friday night and early Saturday morning, I didn't go to bed until 3 a.m. And then I woke up, I slept in. I was like, well, I don't want to set any alarms. I just want to get as much sleep as I can. So I slept about 6 hours. I woke up about 9 a.m. Saturday, and I was tired. It was just a long night, and even someone made the remark that I looked tired, and I said, I am tired. But I do want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, though, the compliments I received over the weekend and, social media as well. The one thing about, you kind of wonder, like, social media, you see a post and you think, okay, you see a compliment, but what about in person? And so I talked to several people over the weekend in person, people that I hadn't seen in a while, and they were actually watching a live stream. And so I appreciate the compliments I received, but I give a lot of credit to the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center. They hit the nail on the head with this one in terms of forecasting, in terms of releasing the information out there. And we'll get to the tornadoes here in a moment from the Paducah side of things, what they've been able to find out so far. But you think about that weather event, and the one thing that I keep saying is, if you recall during the coverage when we had that cell go right over Wayne County and the rotating part of the storm was right over Fairfield, you think about that and how Fairfield came, and I'm going to quote Stuart Morris here, but how scarily, I don't know if that's very close. We'll say very close. That's a better way to put it. Very close to having a tornado. The rotating part of the storm was right over Fairfield. I was talking to someone who had actually kind of stepped outside and just noticed how everything just got eerily quiet. And he told me, he said, that was just weird. And then all of a sudden, that's when the wind and the rain came. So, but then, of course, we had the tornado warning, which was radar indicated. But given how that cell traveled over 200 miles with rotation on it, and how it had produced tornadoes, had a history of it, it's like, yeah, I definitely take shelter too. And tornadoes can spin up so fast, and they could also turn on a dime. They can change direction so quick. And so you always, like the old saying is, you got to expect the unexpected. And with tornadoes, also nighttime twisters, when you look at whether it be video footage, camera footage, you can see why they are so hard to see at night. It's like that monster, that's lurking out there. You know it's out there, but you just don't see it until like that flash of lightning or like some of the reports over at St. Louis. If you remember me reading what the National Weather Service had released about power flashes, like how storm spotters, they spotted the tornado on the ground or there were power flashes reported. And so that was a thing too going on. I thought another thing outside of the tornadoes and along with the rotation and the wind, I thought the hail was another big story. When you look at the hail sizes, from tennis ball, lime size, golf ball size, even one report northeast of St. Louis of hail the size of hen egg plus. I thought the hail whenever before the stream went down, I could just hear the hailstones just pounding my house. And so none of the windows broke here, fortunately. I did sustain a little bit of property damage. A tree had fallen on my private fence, and that tree, thank goodness, did not hit any of the homes behind me. For where the tree fell at, it just got wedged between two trees, and so that was really so I'm pretty fortunate there. It could have been a lot worse. I mean, folks, it could have been a lot worse. And I know that the damage was pretty scattered. I know it wasn't just like, a lot of damage everywhere in Fairfield, but I said it before and I'll say it again. Here in Fairfield, we dodged a bullet while others were not so fortunate. You look at Neoga, you look at the schools up there that got hit by a twister. There's been footage of the twister hitting the Neoga schools. You can check that on WCIA TV. You look at what happened at Poplar Bluff, Missouri. You look at, some damage in the DuQuoin area, St. John's. So there are areas that are, they're still trying to clean up. And so you look at Arkansas, had a big EF4 down there. Yeah, an EF4 tornado in Diaz. If you don't know where that's at, you've heard of Newport, Arkansas. Diaz is just right next to Newport. And in fact, Newport, Arkansas, I have been there. A few years ago, my buddies and I, we were on our way to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and one of the places we stopped to get fuel was Newport. And so we were, again, just fueling up and on our way down. But, considering how I've been to Newport and when I think about these towns, these communities, these cities who, like if they get hit by a tornado or by a bad storm, it makes you think. I was there. I remember being there years ago, and I just remember, I remember Guthrie, Oklahoma. I remember going to Kansas and Dallas, Fort Worth as a kid, and I went to Oklahoma City a month after the May 3rd, 1999 F5 tornado that hit OKC area. So I do remember that. Let's go ahead and get to some recap here. You can access this information by way of the National Weather Service. And I didn't mean to ramble on a little bit, but it's always, there's always something that kind of like jogs a memory a little bit. And so I'm going to talk about the recent severe weather outbreak. So this is what Paducah said in their overview. And there's a couple of things here that I found to be interesting. And this is what they said here. It said a potent late winter, early spring storm system brought widespread severe thunderstorms to the mid-Mississippi River Valley starting late on Friday, March 14th, continuing into the overnight hours on early Saturday, March 15th. These fast-moving storms produced a variety of hazards, including several tornadoes, damaging winds, and sporadic large hail. Large hail damaged windows, siding, roofs, and vehicles in many communities, with the hardest hit being Owensboro, Kentucky. Numerous areas were impacted by damage to homes, machine sheds, power lines, and trees as well. Now, there's a couple of notes here that, again, I thought were interesting. One is tornado tracks as of the last update, are still being surveyed, and information will be added to this event summary as it becomes available. And they have been updating it, but there's still some, still trying to get some more information out there. And by the way, live chat's open. If you want to say hi, love to hear from you, whether it be YouTube or my personal Facebook page. By the way, my Facebook page, my personal one, this live video is public, so you guys can share it if you want. Just doing a recap here of the recent severe weather outbreak, and we'll talk about the future and talk about upcoming severe weather event possibly happening tomorrow. But Paducah said this. They are currently up to 183 miles of tornado damage track from this event that happened late Friday, early Saturday. This is the second most miles on record for an individual event in their office history. A long time. The most, in case you're wondering, 255 miles that was set just last year, May 26th, 2024. If you recall that event, I remember I was doing a severe weather coverage that day with Dustin Fuller on Wayne County Now. And I remember the tornado that hit the Lake of Egypt area. And in fact, when we had our pickleballs, our pork burger pickleballs, pickleball tournament, I get it mixed up. But when we had that tournament about a month later, there was a doubles team that me and Bob Ellis III took on, and these guys were from Lake of Egypt area, and they were talking about the tornado that had hit Lake of Egypt, and one of them actually said they actually seen the actual tornado. So, but yeah, May 26, 2024. So we'll see what happens if it breaks that record, but so I believe that would be, let me see here. So if we look at 255 minus, what was it, 183? 72 miles, so 72 miles of that. We'll see. But again, we'll see what the National Weather Service at Paducah as they update their page. So what I did was I took, so far they have 11 tornadoes, and there's still some details that are missing. There's still some details that they're trying to finalize and everything. So what I did was I took the rating of the tornadoes, the peak winds, the path length, and the max width. And I actually did an average of them. So looking here at the average summary so far, the EF rating would be 2. So we're talking about a 2 EF rating. The peak wind speed so far, the averages of the tornadoes so far posted by Paducah, 133.8 miles per hour. The path length, 19.86 miles, and the maximum width, 291.67 yards. Those are the averages of the tornadoes that Paducah has surveyed so far. That number could change as time continues on. And it also tells me, too, of this. So I'm going to pull up here the enhanced Fujita scale. And so that way you guys know what I'm talking about. So this is the enhanced Fujita scale. I came up with this table myself. So you have EF0 all the way to EF5. And so I mentioned that the average was EF2, so that would be in a strong category. So you have EF0, EF1, which are considered weak tornadoes. But look, you don't have to have like an EF2, EF3 on up to produce damage. These tornadoes that are minor, the EF0s, EF1s, they can cause damage, and we've seen that happen here locally. And so, EF2 would be 111 to 135 miles per hour, and be strong damage, which would be roofs torn off, well-constructed homes, foundations of frame homes shifted, mobile homes completely destroyed. So that's been the average so far, has been EF2. Now, for those of you that are wondering about, I've mentioned it before and I'll say it again, about April 21st, 2002 with the F3 tornado tearing through Wayne County. That was an F3. They didn't have the enhanced Fujita scale back then, but today it would still be in the EF3 category. But anyway, that just goes to show you by the enhanced Fujita scale. So a lot of EF2s, a lot of EF3s. There was an EF4 down there in Arkansas. And we'll see. I think they were still surveying that National Weather Service in Little Rock were. So, but anyway, I want to show you guys that about the enhanced Fujita scale as I'm reading off those numbers to you. I also think going back to that severe weather event, I think a lot of people were up, and I think that also helped. When you have meteorologists, forecasters using strong language, how we were placed underneath that tornado watch, but it was a PDS tornado watch, a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch that was issued for us. You also look at the number of tornado warnings, radar indicated or tornadoes on the ground that were issued. You also look at how this was in the overnight hours when a lot of people are asleep, but yet a lot of people were up. And I also mentioned it too about having multiple ways to receive information, and that also helped. And so there are a lot of factors that I feel like factored in into the into the event. And I know some of you were tuned into my live stream. And by the way, I was looking at the analytics of that live stream before hopping on here. Combining Facebook and YouTube, it was over 8,000 views. So again, I thank you guys for helping spread the word and all that, and the compliments I received, and doing it as a service. I do it voluntarily, and also I do have someone who donated as well. I want to thank Tyler for supporting me as well. So I just want to mention that real quick. You can support me on Patreon at patreon.com/Derek Dunn. Funds from that will go to tech upgrades and equipment. You can also follow me on YouTube at Derek Dunn 89. Also, I'm trying to hook up my TikTok, and for some reason, it's not letting me be able to sync up with it. So, but my TikTok handle is FirecrackerD89. So anyway, I want to go ahead and get that out there. So we have severe weather. We have a chance of that, the possibility of that tomorrow. Let's go ahead and I'll pull up the details here for you. And there's a couple of things that you'll notice regarding the severe weather event for tomorrow and Wednesday. So here it is. So Wednesday afternoon and evening, a band of showers and possible storms will develop along and just ahead of a cold front Wednesday afternoon. The band will develop near the Mississippi River early in the afternoon and then move eastward, exiting the area by 9 p.m. A few severe storms will be possible. Damaging winds will be the primary storm hazard, but large hail cannot be ruled out, especially in the slight risk yellow area. So if you look at that area, Fairfield is just barely within the yellow area, but Edwards, Wabash, at least majority of, all of the Clay, Richland, and Lawrence counties, northern fringe of White County as well, while the others in our area, mainly in that marginal risk. And also, we just got to continue to monitor the forecast for any more future updates and information. So that is tomorrow on Wednesday. And I want to mention, if you look at, you kind of compare it to the recent severe weather outbreak we had. And one of the reasons why that is because the Gulf of America, there's not as much juice in the Gulf as there is, for that severe weather event that just happened last weekend. And so the Gulf, pretty much, it's like it has just been swept. It's been swept to where there's not nearly as much juice. Now, if, and I stress the word if, let's say if, this storm system that we're coming through, let's say it had a lot more juice to work with, then obviously those risks for severe weather would definitely be changed. But because, that last storm system that came through took a lot of energy with it, so therefore you just don't have nearly as much juice. But again, we just can't let our guard down. Again, there is the possibility, again, slight risk for severe weather. But again, as I said here, if you recall from my stream going back about a week ago, I mentioned how when you have the marginal slight risk, enhanced risk on up, it doesn't mean like the number of storms. It just means, their potential, their capability. And so we could see a few strong, severe storms. So we'll keep an eye on that for you tomorrow. In fact, before leaving Veterans Field after covering Mules baseball, I happened to see the team was putting tarps out there on the field, so they were tarping up the field. So that is a look at the severe weather potential for Wednesday. So again, going back to last weekend, we were underneath a moderate risk. This time we're underneath a slight risk so far. So keep an eye on the National Weather Service in Paducah. Keep it on our social media channels. They'll post updates there for you. And lastly, as well, I want to talk about this. And that is, today marks 100 years since the tri-state tornado of March 18th, 1925. Now, have you heard about this tornado? It actually happened here in our region, and its track was not that far from us here in Fairfield. Not that far away at all. So I have a book here in my hand. I just got it, and I haven't read it yet, but it's called It's called Death Rides the Sky, and it's written by Angela Mason. Angela has ties here locally to Wayne County. And so this is actually a book about incredible survivor stories of America's worst tornado. And so here's that book again. So Death Rides the Sky, and it's written by Angela Mason. And so it's about the tri-state tornado March 18th, 1925. I will tell you that at the college, we do have this book in our library over at Cox Hall. So if you are interested in checking out this book and giving it a read, more than welcome to. As far as I know, it's still available out there. But what it does is it talks about part one, the sound and the fury, and part two is the aftermath. And so, but there's an introduction on there. It's just a very fascinating read. Again, I've heard good things about this book. I've not yet read it. But I will tell you that this tornado, it started near Ellington, Missouri, moved all the way northeast, and stopped just right shy of Petersburg. I want to talk about some of the communities here that were impacted here in southern Illinois and also nearby in Indiana. So you had Gorham, Illinois, 100% destroyed. Murfreesboro was 40% destroyed. In fact, the majority of the deaths occurred in Murfreesboro. Over 230 people were killed by this tornado. DeSoto, 30% of it was destroyed. West Frankfort, 20% of it was destroyed. Parrish, 90% of it was destroyed. East of West Frankfort. Went over some rural area. The town of Griffin, Indiana, just right across the river from us, 100% of that town was destroyed by this tornado. Went over to Owensville. 85 farms were totally destroyed in the Owensville area. And then Princeton, Indiana, 25% of it was destroyed. But again, it's called Death Rides the Sky by Angela Mason. And so here's what that book looks like. So if you're interested in this book, here's what it looks like. You can buy it on Amazon. That's where I bought it off of. But it talks about the history of the March 18th, the 1925 tri-state tornado. And it happened again, not far away from here. The track it took was just to our south and to our east. And so if you're looking for a read about America's most powerful tornado, it happened 100 years ago this day. And my grandpa at the time, was born in 1902, and he was about 23 at the time that tornado hit. So, and my grandma was alive as well. So anyway, today marks 100 years since that tornado happened. It also reads like this here too. I'll read the back of it. When the sun rose on March 18th, 1925, it seemed like just another ordinary day in the Midwest as farmers prepped their fields, kids walked to school, coal miners headed underground, and storekeepers tended to their shops. Little did they know that afternoon would forever change their lives and define the weather in the central United States for generations to come. From the hills of the Missouri Ozarks across the developing communities of southern Illinois to the plains of the Hoosier heartland, the tri-state tornado destroyed cities, devoured whole farms, and set the record for the most deaths, injuries, and monetary damage, records which remain standing to this day. This is the story is told directly by nearly 4 dozen survivors and eyewitnesses in the most comprehensive account of the tri-state tornado ever to be compiled. Many of the survivors were only children when that killer storm swept down from the sky and carved a path through the lives of thousands of individuals linked by this singular event. So this book came out, let me see here if I can find it here for you. Um, this book came out in 2012, so it's about 13 years old. Um, but yeah, 100 years ago this day, and also the tornado I covered, the tornadic storm that impacted the Crossville area going back to 2017. I was on the radio at the time. One of the homes that actually was damaged by that tornado, standing actually, that tri-state tornado, it was damaged by that Crossville tornado as well. And I remember Paducah having that in her summary after that storm had happened. So, but anyway, guys, that's a recap. I know there's gonna be some more information released by the National Weather Service in Paducah. You can find that information on their site. Obviously, it's gonna be updated. For those of you that are wondering, one of the tornadoes, maybe it was a possible tornado, or maybe it was just a loft. I don't know. I've not seen any details yet about Ziegler or the at the time that the storm was moving through Fairfield. There was a tornado that was potentially possibly spotted, actually in the Carrier Mills, Harrisburg, Equality area. I've not seen any more details on that, but I do know that it was tornado warned. So we'll see if, again, there's several more that Paducah is trying to get information about. But it definitely does bear watching. But this severe weather event again, and that's another thing too. We're about the middle of March, and this is not the peak of severe weather season. You think it is, but it's not. The peak of severe weather season is May and June, and we're halfway through March. I was thinking about this the other day and how, we still got a lot of 2025 left to go here. Do we expect more severe weather outbreaks? Absolutely. Do we expect more severe storms? Absolutely. I mean, this is not, again, we're not at the peak yet where things are starting to warm up around here. But I will tell you this, and that is, I hope that what we just had a few days ago, late Friday and early Saturday, I hope that's the only, pretty much the biggest severe weather event of the year. But again, we still got a lot of 2025 to go. So again, it's about being weather aware, having multiple ways to receive information, whether it be by way of apps, whether it be by way of, like the radars, NOAA weather radios. I've had some people ask me about, what's the best way. I know NOAA weather radio has an app you could download. I know that the radars I use more than one radar, actually. I have a primary and a backup one. Good idea there. In case if one of them, for some reason, was to have a bug or a glitch and you had to resort to a next one. Not a bad idea there. And so anyway, just to have multiple ways of communication. Radio, they have the EAS alerts, the Emergency Alert System. You also have TV with the meteorologist. And then also social media, locally here, like myself, for example. So any kind of information you get, again, that way the more channels you have communication, the better off you'll be. But again, guys, hey, I've talked quite a bit. I did baseball earlier. My voice is not 100%. But I want to say thank you for tuning into this live stream. Thank you for, again, the compliments. Those of you who complimented my storm coverage. Again, I do it voluntarily. I do this if I'm not at work. I do my best to where I could do this outside of work. And so if I'm at work, I'll still post some updates on my Facebook page because obviously my job's my priority. But outside of work is when I try to hop on and provide severe weather coverage. So tomorrow could be the case right here. Hopefully, if you hear that loud knock on wood, the power and the internet don't go out like what happened to me. Someone asked me what it was like when the power went out here. I said, it just got dark and I wanted to go to sleep immediately. But I was like, I better wait for the storm to end. So taking a look here, the weather radar here before we go. So far, pretty much quiet out there across tri-state area. We're right now on the Evansville radar site. Nothing going on. I do see some precipitation earlier out there to the west by way of Colorado and all that, but that's a sign of that next storm system coming in. And so just to recap here about the severe weather threat for tomorrow, slight risk for us. It's not going to be nearly as strong as it was last Friday into early Saturday. Again, just doesn't have as much energy to work with from the Gulf, not as much juice. And so, however, we just can't let our guard down. Can't let our guard down. So be weather aware tomorrow. Be ready. And so keep an eye on that. Keep it on my Facebook page. I'll post if there's ever a watch issued, warning, that stuff. And if any severe weather threatens our way, I'll hop on here and provide weather coverage here to you. By the way, I've been seeing some thumbs up here on the live chat. It's good to see you all. And again, support me on Patreon if you want to. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I highly encourage that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I know that my YouTube subscribers has grown. I saw that it grew, I think, by 8, I think. And also the last thing I'll mention is I had several Facebook friend requests following the storms on last Friday, early Saturday. I have a policy when it comes to that. My policy is where if I know you, if I've talked to you, I've interacted with you in person, like I know you're for real, I know who you are, I'll add you. But if I don't know who you are, like I've never met you before, I'm not going to add you at all. It's just my policy. I know it sounds, I got to draw the line, folks. I got to draw the line. And so I appreciate the interest. Don't get me wrong, but my severe weather coverage is public anyway, to where you guys could watch it. But so for those of you that tried adding me on Facebook and you saw the request got denied, don't take it personally. I just don't know who you are, okay? So I got to play it safe here. Anyway, guys, hey, have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday night. I get more details on Metro Paducah regarding the recent severe weather outbreak. There's still some tornadoes. There's still some things to be accounted for. Also, severe weather threat for tomorrow. And also, 100 years since the Tri-State Tornado, March 18th, 1925. So if you have an opportunity, check that out. And don't forget, again, a book, Death Rides the Sky. I'm looking forward to reading this. I've heard good things about the book by Angela Mason. So, anyway, guys, have a wonderful rest of your night. Take care. Be safe.